Alrighty guys, what's going on everybody? My name is Blitzwinger, and I'm coming back at you with another Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode review, and today we're going to be taking a look at episode number 5. I think his name is Baxter Stockman, where we are, guess, introduced to Baxter Stockman. And before I get to that, of course, I really want to mention right away that I think the reason why well, first of all, I did enjoy this episode quite a bit, and I feel like this is the best episode since the first two. And I feel like the main reason for that is, like I mentioned in a previous review, I think that the reason for that is the fact that this episode was written by the guys that wrote the first two episodes, the team of Joshua Sternin and J.R. Ventimiglia, because I think that that really shows you that they have a great understanding of the personalities of the Turtles in this particular iteration, and at the same time they have got a good idea of a sense of humor that works within this Nickelodeon TMNT universe, you know what I mean? That being said, let's get to the review itself. Of course, guys, I always love to hear your opinions and thoughts in the comment section below, so after you listen to the review, or as you're listening to it, let me know in the comment section below what you thought of this particular episode, and yay, let's get into it. So basically, the episode opens up with the Turtles raising some hell in the lair, where basically Splinter's trying to meditate, and they do like a Evel Knievel type trick with a skateboard where Mikey jumps over his three brothers, and they basically make a giant mess, and Splinter's like, okay, you guys are grounded. And there was a little bit of a funny back and forth here where Splinter asks Leonardo what kind of punishment they should have, and Leonardo's like, maybe we should clean things up. And Splinter's like, and that's it? And he's like, and think about what we did. Splinter's like, and that's it? And he's like, yeah, I think that's pretty good. And then Splinter's like, no, you guys are grounded for a week. And we basically see that this thing kills them. They cannot just stay put in the lair, especially when they know that they could have adventures over in the streets of New York City. And basically they kind of slowly decided, hey, let's sneak out and go skateboarding. And I don't know, I feel like this... Again, I know I've emphasized this in almost every episode since the first two, but I feel like it is a problem. It's almost like they completely forgot about it. It's been 3 episodes since then, and it seems like the Turtles completely don't care about April O'Neil's dad anymore. Like, they're like, hey, yeah, let's go skateboarding. Sure, that sounds like a good idea, but first of all, where is April? She was so upset at the end of the second episode about her father being gone, yet we haven't even looked for him. So it's like, I don't know, I just felt like, what was the point of establishing that type of story if we're never touching upon it? So I hope we get on track some point and close this particular door just so that we can focus on the next storylines without having this story kind of hanging there, like kind of reminding you, hey, yeah, remember the way that this series started? Yeah, we never addressed anything about how we save April O'Neil's dad or anything. So I hope that they will address that at some point down the line. That being said, as they head out to the city, basically we see this new device invented by Donatello that is named by Michelangelo, who even gives himself props for being good at naming things. And he names it the Teapot, basically kind of like an iPod, a music player. And they head out to the city as they're skateboarding on the rooftops and such. And this was kind of cool scenes here of how the animation here is really neat, like where they're jumping over the roofs with the skateboards doing some cool tricks and stuff. And you can see Michelangelo screaming the whole time. He's like, guys, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. And Leonardo's like, there's only 2 things that kind of like make us ninjas, and that is moving swiftly and silently. And we're doing only one of those things right now. And at that point, basically, Donatello realizes that the teapot, or the chip in the teapot, is corrupt to where it just keeps uploading and downloading data constantly, so that basically there's like an endless supply of music in his teapot, which sounds kind of crazy because you think about it like, whoa, it doesn't even have any memory or a hard drive or anything. It just keeps downloading. That sounds like a great invention. But basically, at that point, they realize that something is wrong with this teapot, and also at that point, they kind of spot a guy in a power suit, who, of course, is introduced as Baxter Stockman to us, and just a little bit later in the scenes where he breaks into a workplace and raises havoc in his workplace where he got fired because he destroyed the copying machine, which was kind of funny. And we see that he's trying to break into this shop or something, but he can't do it because his suit is pretty crappy. The way his suit was designed, it really kind of, I thought at first that this is going to be Fish Face, because if you looked at the action figure for Fish Face, he's got like the same type of metal legs, so I thought maybe it's going to be Baxter Stockman who turns into Fishface and not, what was his name? Xever or Xever? Xover. Yeah. The other henchman from Shredder's team. But then obviously we found out that no, Baxter Stockman is going to turn into the Stockman pod. Was it Stockman? Yeah, the Stockman pod. And basically what we see is that the turtles kind of kick his butt very quickly. But in the process, Mikey, by mistake, drops his T-pod, which is then picked up by Baxter Stockman. And when he installs it or like applies it to his suit, we see that all of a sudden the idea of the music downloads and everything now applies to his suit, to where his suit slowly becomes stronger and stronger, more complex and more complex, to the point that the suit and him are starting to become one and are starting to bond together, which I thought was very intriguing. I thought that was a kind of an interesting approach to a villain. And basically, the turtles, when they're back in the lair, they don't know anything about this yet until there's a breaking news update as Leonardo is watching some Star Trek, and he gets very upset at that. But breaking news update where Baxter Stockman has been attacking the city and everything, and we see that the turtles are like, oh crap, do we tell Splinter? Do we tell him that we are that we created a super villain and everything, and does he need to know and all that? And they decide to not tell him, but instead just kind of sneak out again at night while he's sleeping and try to take care of business with Baxter Stockman. When they do so, they're actually unsuccessful. Baxter Stockman is able to kick all of their butts. And basically they run away with their tails between their legs, even though they don't have tails. But you know what I mean. I wonder why don't they have tails? Don't turtles have like a little tail? I don't know. I just completely went off topic, but that is kind of a good point. But yeah, so they run away, and eventually they do tell Splinter about that. And he kind of like tells them that what you guys are doing wrong and why you can't defeat him at this point is because it's not because he's in armor, but it's because you guys are not fighting the man. You're fighting the armor, and you should fight the man. Address the person inside the suit, not the suit itself, because the suit itself, it can be hazardous on anyone, but it can be very dangerous depending who's wearing it. Something along those lines. So basically, at that point, they kind of devise a plan that is much better, to where Mikey is going to be kind of the distractor for Baxter, where he kind of makes him chase him and everything. He kind of like, annoys him and such, so that Baxter kind of overcommits at times. And we see the turtles attempt one strategy where they try to chain him up in a very cool sequence, but unfortunately that is unsuccessful. And then they basically resort to a very simple strategy where they just take a giant beehive and shove it right into the little kind of like the mech hole where the face of Baxter Stockman is still can be kind of protruded, and they just shove it right in there, so he gets bit like crazy by bees. I was like, oh my god, that is horrible. That is like, he could die in there with so many sting bites. And then after that, basically that is where they are able to take the Baxter Stockman, or the Stockman pod that is titled by Michelangelo, under control by destroying the T-pod itself that is connected to the Stockman pod. And that basically kind of leads us to the conclusion of the episode, where we see that the turtles can work together. And I think that there was some cool scenes here where you saw, like, for example, when Mikey gets smashed by the Stockman pod into the wall, you could almost like feel like concern from all three brothers, like, because again, the episode did a great job of establishing how each turtle, like for example, Michelangelo, I'll give you an example. He is portrayed kind of like, as the goofy idiot and everything, but it's like you could see when he got hurt or potentially hurt, all three of his brothers were like, okay, that's it. Like, they really wanted to avenge him, and you could see that they really still care for him, even though they make fun of him and everything. And they do know that he's kind of like not this most brightest bulb in the yard, but they still cared for him, and they still wanted to make sure that he's okay and whatever. So I think that this episode did a great job of, again, like showing each character's traits. Like, we saw Donatello being smart and like coming up with inventions and everything, and starting to figure out things, how to solve problems with inventions. And then we also saw Leonardo having a big debate with himself, almost like where he wants to be that mature leader, but at the same time he's a teenager, and when there's a potential to go and have fun on a skateboard, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go with you as your leader, something like that, you know. So, and we see of course Raphael's rebellious attitude as well as Michelangelo's goofy humor and everything. So I think that this episode did a great job of working each character's kind of not abilities, traits, but at the same time also addressing the overall story of the episode, which was the introduction of Baxter Stockman. So overall, I thought it was a great episode. I thought it was my favorite episode since the first two. I think that the episode did a great job of, again, establishing all these factors and things that I've basically mentioned throughout the entire review. I felt like Baxter Stockman was introduced well. He's funny, and I'm really intrigued to see how he's gonna bounce back from this. Is he even gonna bounce back? Like, what will be the follow-up with him? Because now he doesn't have the teapot, which means he doesn't have access to this amazingly powerful suit. So what happens from here? I wonder, will he join Shredder in some way, shape, or form, or he's gonna get mutated or something along those lines? I'm really wondering, and I want to see how all that goes. That being said, next week's episode is very intriguing as well, because it will be the episode titled Metalhead, and the little synopsis that I've read about it online is very intriguing. I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how they work this episode, because the idea is going to be basically that Donatello realizes that he has how do I say it? Basically that he's not super battle ready or something along those lines, just fighting with his bow and all. And then basically he decides to create Metalhead, who's kind of like a technologically advanced robot that is going to represent him during the fights. He will be the representative of Donatello, which will allow Donatello to focus on his main interest, which is building machines and everything. And at the same time, there will be a turtle there to fill in for him during the battle scenes if his three brothers need help. So I'm definitely intrigued to see how next week's episode goes. I think that things do need to start kind of picking up and ramping up in terms of kind of a storyline, like an overarching storyline. I do understand that for next week's episode is going to feature the Crank, so I'm hoping that that will be the episode that kind of picks up on the storyline that was planted and seeded in the first two episodes. So we'll see how that goes. That being said, guys, of course, I'd love to hear what you guys thought of this particular episode, episode number 5. I think his name is Baxter Stockman, and what you think about the synopsis for episode number 6, Metalhead, which will be coming out, of course, this upcoming Saturday. I almost said Sunday. Saturday. And sorry that this review is like 2 days late. It's just I've been like super busy, swamped with a bunch of different things, life, work, such things. So yeah, I'll be back, of course, next Saturday, and I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Subscribe, share the video, favorite the video, guys. Hit that like button. It really does help me out, guys, tremendously. Thank you for all your support on the previous episode reviews. I'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Peace out. See ya later.